fear. So what is fear? Well, fear actually stands for F, false, E, evidence, A, appearing, or real. False evidence appearing real. Okay, and it's actually your mind's way of sending feelings into your body connected to a perceived experience. It's actually the greatest misuse of your imagination. And it's your imagination that causes you to have these feelings. Your perception of an upcoming experience, no matter what that is. Okay? And it's this experience that is created from past experiences. Maybe past failures. I don't know. So when we work with fear, we can work with the past failures that cause you to feel these fears, and then we can work with the future expected fear. So we're working on two levels so that your experience in the future is going to be excellent. Because as you know, many times you've expected something to be a certain way that's caused you to feel fearful. And that has never happened. The actual experience is not as fearful as the anticipation of the experience. And so, in some ways, it causes this paradoxical loop to keep going in some way. That you expect fear, you have some fear when you get there, and then it creates this cycle, this loop, in some way. And so, this is what we're going to be working on. We're going to be working on your past experiences of fear and your expected experience of fear. So to begin with, I want you to think about what it is causes you to feel fearful. Whatever it is, everyone is different. So what is it that causes you to feel fearful? Now when you think about whatever it is that causes you to feel fearful, are you looking out of your own eyes at that experience? Or are you looking at yourself in that experience? Now, whichever it is, it doesn't matter at this moment. If you're looking at your own eyes, that's okay. Or if you're looking at yourself in that experience. When you think about that upcoming experience that causes you to feel fearful. Now what I want you to do is I want you to measure on a scale of 0 to 10 subjective units of distress. What number pops to mind? Distress about that upcoming experience. Okay. Now with that number, I want you to begin tapping on the karate chop point while saying out loud after me. Even though I have that number of fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that number of fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that number of fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. That number of fear. 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 Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs, and release that now. Okay, think about that upcoming experience. Do you see yourself in it? Do you see the experience out of your own eyes, whatever's going on? Okay, now perhaps you may have been seeing yourself in the experience and all of a sudden you're looking at it out of your own eyes. And you say, how did that happen? We've changed something in some way. Inside something has changed. You've got closer to it. And if it's still at a distance, but it's a little bit faded, you can't see it that well, or some changes happened in the distance, but some changes happened at a subconscious level again. Okay. So I want you to measure what's remaining in that future expected experience. What number pops to mind? Okay, now with that number, begin tapping on the gratitude point while saying it loud after me. Even though I have that remaining number of fear about that upcoming experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that remaining number of fear about that upcoming experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that remaining number of fear about that upcoming experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. That remaining number. 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 Take a deep breath in. And release that now. Checking in again. Thinking about that upcoming experience. Notice where you are in that experience. Looking at yourself, looking out of your own eyes. Doesn't matter at this moment in time. We're just doing a little check here. Okay, 0 to 10, what number pops to mind when you think about that experience? And when you think about that experience, has it become more colourful, more faded, more distant? Has the characters changed in it in some way? Just notice any changes. And with those changes in mind, I want you to move on to the next section. Okay, so while in the last section you were working on future expected experience, and while you were working on that, I wonder if any past failures of similar to that experience or something connected to that experience, because it's not necessarily failure that may cause fear, it's many other things may cause fear. Some experience in the past was connected to that fear. Just seemed to pop to mind. Because I mentioned it earlier. Some experience just popped to mind. Don't go searching for right answers. Whatever pops to mind is the one your subconscious mind has offered up to you to work on. Your conscious mind has been trying to work with this for a long time. And it doesn't work. So we're working with the mind and body here. Subconscious mind and the feelings in your body. The energy signals going through your body, and we're connecting them, balancing them out in some way, so all this flows freely. And so if you think of some past event that popped to mind, now in that past event that caused this fear or causes you to feel fearful even in that past event, what I want you to do is I want you to just notice, are you looking at your own eyes? Or are you looking at yourself in that experience? Okay. And as you do that, I want you to measure on a scale of 0 to 10. What number pops to mind? Looking at yourself in that experience. Or being in that experience. Okay. Now, begin tapping on the gratitude point. while saying after me, even though I have that number of fear connected to that past experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that number of fear connected to that past experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. And again, even though I have that number of fear connected to that past experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. That number of fear. 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 Take a deep breath in. And release that now. Excellent. Think about that past experience. How do you see yourself? Are you in that experience or looking at your experience? At the experience. Is there some changes in that since we've done this round of EFT? Has it gotten to become more faded? Have you stepped into the experience? Have you stepped out of the experience? What has happened in that past experience? Just notice for yourself what has happened in that past experience. Okay. So I want you to measure on a scale of 0 to 10 what's remaining in that connected subjective units of distress connected to that past experience, and just notice what number pops to mind. Start tapping on the karate chop point. Even though I still have that number remaining connected to that past fearful experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I still have that number remaining connected to that past fearful experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I still have that number remaining connected to that past fearful experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Still have that number remaining connected to that past experience. Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs. Release that now. Think about that past experience. Looking at your own eyes, looking at yourself. Notice what changes have happened. Okay. And what I want you to do now, with that bit of knowledge, the past experience, future experience, move on to the next section. Okay, in this section, I want you to give you a choice. You can either think about the past experience or the future experience, the future expected experience. Whichever is right for you. At least by doing it this way, you can use this part or this section many times. And that's why I've created this, that you can use it many times for future expected experience or past experience that you've had connected to that fear. So whichever you're working on, think about that experience. What comes to mind? There could be sounds come to mind this time. I don't know. Sounds, what you see. The thing is, when you think about that experience, what do you feel? Think about that experience. What do you feel? Where do you feel those feelings in your body? It's different for everyone. So, wherever you feel those feelings in your body, I want you to label them in some way, what that feeling feels like, So, it could be a tightness, could be a ball, anything, It could be a queasiness in your tummy. I've no idea. It could be a knot in your throat. Anything. When you think about that experience and that feeling in your body, put whatever label is on that you want, that fits for you. Okay, so begin tapping on the karate check point. Even though I have that feeling connected to my fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that feeling connected to my fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that feeling connected to my fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. That feeling connected to my fear. 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 Take a deep breath in. Filling your lungs. And release that now. Very good. Now, think about whichever you were thinking about, that experience. And as you think about that experience, notice, have those feelings changed in any way? Have they reduced in some way? Have they moved in some way? If they've moved, we call that chasing the pain. Moving it in some way shows that it can be changed. And so by moving it in some way, you can do this as many times you wish to gain as much relief as you can from that experience. Those feelings of fear. And you can use the mopping up section, you can use the breathing exercise, you can use all these different sections connected to this fear. To work on this fear and reduce it, relieve it, eliminate it. And that's what I want for you. Elimination of the fear, because it's only perceived. It's only a perceived experience. And that's why you're afraid of something that someone else is not afraid of. Some people are afraid to stand in front of a camera. I'm not afraid to stand in front of a camera, but this can be a perceived experience. The camera cannot do anything to us. However, it creates fear or anxiety to stand in front of a camera. Some people do not like to be photographed. Some people don't like to hear their own voice. There's so many little things that stop us doing what we want to do. And this is what this is about. This is about you being able to have the life that you should always have. Because you're actually only born with 2 fears. As a baby, 2 fears. One is loud noises and the other is falling over. The rest are learned. That's it. And so what we're doing here is unlearning those fears. Beginning to look at it in a different way. Because you're here today, those fearful experiences you had, you survived them. And it's only your subconscious mind attempting to protect you, causing these feelings, attempting to protect you from feeling fearful or having a fearful experience. And that's all it's doing, protecting you. And so what we're doing is changing how you view that past experience so that when you look into the future, you go, hey, welcome, future. I want to do that. I want to go for it. You may feel a little bit of anticipation because of past experiences, but when you get there and go through it, you go, hey, I'm sure at some time in your life you've surprised yourself and did something for whatever reason and went, how did I do that? You didn't think about it, you were in the moment. No past experience carried on your shoulders, no perceived experience carried on your shoulders, just in the moment. It just happened, you did it. And that's the way it should be. So, just as you think about that experience, what you've been working on, notice where you may feel that in your body, what label you have on it. Begin tapping on the karate chop point. Even though I have that remaining feeling connected to that fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that remaining fear connected to that experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have that remaining fear connected to that experience, I deeply and completely accept myself. That remaining fear, 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 that remaining fear. Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs, and release that now. Okay, I want you to move on to the next section. Alright, in this section, we're going back to the beginning, starting again. I want you to think about your upcoming experience that you may feel fearful about. No matter what that is, just think about it again. And just notice what has changed from the work you've done. What's changed about thinking about that experience? Are you looking at your own eyes? Are you looking at yourself? Has the characters changed in it? Whatever it is, just notice what has changed about experience. Can you hear more? What is happening about that experience that you're expecting to happen? Does it seem as fearful? So we're assuming you may still have some fear, anticipation, whatever. Measure scale 0 to 10 when you think about that upcoming experience. What number comes to mind? Okay, and with that number, begin tapping on the karate chop point and say, even though I have this number of perceived fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this number of perceived fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I have this number of perceived fear, I deeply and completely accept myself. This number of perceived fear. 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 Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs, and release that now. Very good. Think about the upcoming experience, event, whatever causes you fear, whatever you're expecting to feel fearful about. Just think about that now. Notice are any changes, feelings in your body, whatever. Just notice what's there. Think about that. Just close your eyes for a minute. Just close your eyes and think about the upcoming experience. And just see everything around you, like a panoramic view. Are you looking at yourself? Are you looking out of your own eyes? Just see everything, hear everything. Notice how you can feel relaxed in your body. Just take a deep breath in and release that feeling relaxed in your body. And measure now on a scale of 0 to 10 what number pops to mind of feelings of distress when you think about that fearful event. And open your eyes. What number pops to mind? Well, whatever number has popped to mind, we will begin tapping on the karate chop point by saying out loud, even though I still have this slight bit of fear, I am okay now. Even though I have this slight bit of fear, I am okay now. Even though I have this slight bit of fear, I am okay now. This slight bit of fear. 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 Take a deep breath in, filling your lungs, and release all that now. Excellent. Think about the upcoming event. Notice how you feel about it. If any number still is remaining, you can move on to the mopping up section. You can use the breathing exercise. You can go back through this whole series of exercises again. Whatever's right for you, you have a lot of choices in the exercises you can use to get the most out of this experience of changing your life for the better, so that you can move forward and release the fears that were learned at some point in your life, because as a baby you did not have those fears. So this technique will help you tap into the past experiences and the future experiences. So you go and do that now for yourself.